We are live captioning our meetings. Please look in the chat window of our WebEx meeting where you will find a link. Please click on that link to open a web page with the live captioning. I would now like to call to order the public hearing of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board of May 26, 2026. Let the record reflect that it is 6:30. For the record, we have the following board members present: our student advisory member, Pamela Smith, Susan Bittersmith, Kelly Butler, Donna Davis, Tom Narini, Jacqueline Smith, Marie Sullivan, and myself, Linda Thor. The first item on the agenda is item number A.2, a truth and taxation hearing as required under state law. The Maricopa County Community College District is considering a proposal to increase primary property taxes in fiscal year 2026-2027 on existing property and new construction. The proposed increase is 5.2%, which equals $34,218,161 in additional property tax revenues. Revenues associated with the tax increase will support system-wide strategic expansion of services to students. At this time, I will afford any resident or taxpayer the opportunity to address the governing board concerning the proposed action under consideration to increase primary property taxes on existing property. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board? Seeing none, are there any comments from members of the board? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is number A3, a public hearing concerning the adoption of the proposed budget of the Maricopa County Community College District for fiscal year 2026-2027. The purpose of the hearing is to give any resident or taxpayer the opportunity to protest the conclusion of any item in the proposed budget. At this time, I will afford any resident or taxpayer the opportunity to address the governing board concerning the proposed action under consideration. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board? Seeing none, are there comments from any board members? Seeing none, that concludes the public hearings portion of this meeting. Let the record reflect that it's 6:33. I would now like to convene the special board meeting of May 26, 2026. Let the record reflect that it is still 6:33. For the record, I will call the roll of board members. Our student advisory member, Pamela Smith.
Present.
Susan Bittersmith.
Here.
Kelly Butler.
Present.
Donna Davis.
Here.
Tom Narini.
Present.
Jacqueline Smith.
Present.
Marie Sullivan.
Present.
And I'm also here, Linda Thor. Next, we have the approval of the tax levy increase for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. Is there a motion to approve the tax levy increase?
Dr. Thor, I would like to move that we approve the tax levy increase for fiscal year. Well, just.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Narini. It's a motion by Ms. Sullivan, second by Dr. Narini. Are there any discussion from board members? Ms. Bittersmith.
Dr. Thor, just for the record, as I think most of the board has heard from me several times, I still remain concerned about a property tax increase given the conversations and expectations the public had of the passage of Proposition 486. I will ever respect the majority of the board. When the time comes, I'm going to simply vote.
Thank you.
Dr. Thor,
Ms. Davis.
I've made my feelings known as well to this board. I come from a very conservative district, and I represent those constituents, and I do not support this tax increase.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Smith.
I've also shared my thoughts with the board and would like to say that my main concern with the increase at this time is the timing, and wanted to make sure that our communication with the public was clear, when we had previously stated that, by increasing the expenditure limitation, there would not be a tax increase.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? In accordance with state law, the governing board will now vote on this motion by roll call vote. First, our student advisory member, Pamela Smith.
Yay.
Board members, Susan Bittersmith,
No.
Kelly Butler,
Yes.
Donna Davis,
No,
Tom Narini,
Yes.
Jacqueline Smith,
No.
Marie Sullivan,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So by a vote of 4 yes, 3 no, the motion passes. Next, we have approval and adoption of the proposed FY 2026-2027 Maricopa Community College District budget. In approving and adopting the budget, the board also authorizes the expenditure of budgeted revenues and realized or designated fund balances within the total amount balance budgeted in each fund: general fund, auxiliary, plant fund, quasi-endowment, restricted, and debt service. Is there a motion to approve and adopt the budget?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Ms. Butler. In accordance with state law, the governing board will now vote on this motion by roll call vote. Student advisory member, Pamela Smith.
Yes.
Board members, Susan Bittersmith,
President Thor, as I indicated, I am going to respect the direction of the board, and I certainly support the budget priorities, so I vote yes.
thank you. Kelly Butler,
Yes.
Donna Davis,
Dr. Thor, I vote reluctantly yes.
okay. Tom Narini,
Yes.
Jacqueline Smith,
Yes.
Marie Sullivan,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. By a vote of 7-0, the motion passes. The 2026-2027 Maricopa Community College District budget has been adopted. Board members, please check with Ms. Macias before you leave tonight to sign the certificate of adoption of the FY 26-27 budget. And that concludes the special meeting tonight. Let the record reflect that it is 6:38. At this time, I call to order the regular meeting of the Maricopa County Community College District Governing Board for May 26, 2026. Once more, for the record, I'll call the roll of board members. Student Advisory Representative Pamela Smith.
Present.
Susan Bittersmith.
Here.
Kelly Butler.
Present.
Donna Davis.
Present.
Tom Narini.
Present.
Jacqueline Smith.
Present.
Marie Sullivan.
Present.
And I'm here, Linda Thor. Let the record reflect that all board members are present, including our student advisory representative. And now we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by the students of Phoenix College and Phoenix College Preparatory Academy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not quite yet. One, you can stay there, but I'm going to call you in just a second. We have one substitution tonight. Dr. Heather Weber, Vice President of Administration and Operations, here for Dr. CJ Wooster of Chandler Gilbert. I think we have student senators first. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to sit down once more. We have an extra presentation tonight. Deanna.
Thank you. Good evening, President Thor, members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of our Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Deanna Villanueva Saucedo. I have the distinct honor of leading our Center for Excellence in Inclusive Democracy, which, among other things, supports our Maricopa Student Senate. Next slide, please, Elsa. So the amazing, dedicated, compassionate group of young people you will meet this evening represent students from across our entire system. They give voice to diverse perspectives on key issues facing students while engaging in their own professional development and growth this year. I will ask our Senate Chair, Tasha, to take lead. Next slide, please.
Good evening and greeting, President Thor, members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Gonzalez, and members of the Shared Governance Executive Council and guests. My name is Tasha Gamalda, and I have the pleasure of serving as the chair for the 2025-2026 Student Senate, representing Mesa Community College. I am currently pursuing my degree in construction management and will be graduating this fall with my associate's degree. After graduation, I plan to transfer to Arizona State University to continue pursuing my bachelor's degree in construction management. Next slide, please. A moment for the photo. Our members represent the students across our entire system. Senators will introduce themselves as they come to the podium. Next slide, please.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Sanders, and I've had the pleasure to serve as the current vice chair of the 2025-2026 Student Senate. Representing Glendale Community College this fall, I will be transferring to NAU to pursue a bachelor's degree in political science, sociology, with a minor in Indigenous studies. Now, senators met monthly to discuss issues of concern while strengthening communication between students, college leadership, and district leadership. This was in addition to leading a variety of campus events and activities. Next slide, please.
Greetings, my name is William Raphael. I am currently a dual enrolled student at Gateway Community College and a high school student at Metro Tech High School. Next year, I'll find myself graduating high school with hope, leaving with my associates in arts. Although not set in stone, I plan to make a swift transfer out of state to San Diego State University, where I'll pursue my bachelor's in science nursing and go into the medical field as a nurse anesthetist. Additionally, senators were involved in campus events and service opportunities, including serving on search committees and organizing neighborhood cleanups. Senators also served as keynote speakers and on student panels, including student orientations. Next slide, please.
Greetings, my name is Nanette Khachaturian and I serve as a student senator representing Scottsdale Community College. This fall, I'll transfer to ASU to pursue my degree in industrial and organizational psychology. As a group, the Student Senate provided a student perspective on key issues facing Maricopa. This included serving as a focus group to share a student perspective on artificial intelligence, Maricopa's budget, and staff work schedules. We're proud to have served as a voice for Maricopa students, sharing a much needed perspective. Next slide, please.
Sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Jay Hidalgo, and I serve as a senator representing South Mountain Community College. Next fall, I plan to continue my higher education as a bachelor level student at my campus, pursuing a bachelor's in behavioral sciences. I hope to eventually pursue full-time opportunity within the Maricopa district and creating more spaces for students like myself. One of the key responsibilities of the Student Senate is to select the next student representative of the governing board. After a diligent application and interview process, we are honored to announce the 2026 and 2027 student trustee Kelly Suka. Next slide, please.
My name is Ludwig Gonzalez, and I serve as the senator representing Phoenix College. 3 of our senators were awarded the Chancellor Civics Leadership Medallion for all their civic efforts. This included myself, Herbert O'Grady from Paradise Valley, and William Raphael from Getaway. Next slide, please.
Thank you for allowing us to share our year of service as a student senate. We were honored to provide a voice for the 140,000 student voices across Maricopa. This was a responsibility we did not take lightly. We were proud to help ensure that student voices were heard in these important conversations. Our colleges are made up of a richly diverse community of students with different backgrounds, experiences, and needs. And the Student Senate exists to help bring these voices forward with honesty, respect, and purpose. Thank you, and we appreciate your continued support.
Thank you all for being here tonight and for your service. Do board members have any questions of the student senators? Ms. Sullivan?
I don't have a question. I wanted to congratulate you all on your great leadership this year. Representing the 140 plus students is a big, 1,000 students is a big job, and I know you did it well. And at this time, I'd also like to acknowledge the student advisor, Pam Smith, who has served on this board really well, and we welcome you to the team as well. We've had opportunities to interact with all of you. You've been extremely well represented on the board this year, and the work that you've done is so critically important. And I know that you recognize that, but I wanted to say it out loud to you. And again, welcome you to the fold. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none. Thank you very much. Now, Phoenix College and the Phoenix College Preparatory Academy Student Leadership. You've got the mic now.
Next slide, please. Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Dr. Gonzalez, members of the SGEC, and guests. My name is Galila Guzman. My major is biochemistry, and I plan on graduating in May of 2027. I am president of PC United Student Government and honored to represent our Phoenix College students. Next slide, please. PC students embody the campus core values, which are collaboration, community, fairness, integrity, leadership, and responsibility. We will speak about those values. It is my pleasure to introduce the Phoenix College Preparatory Academy Student Government as they present an overview of their semester. Next slide, please.
President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Council, and guests. My name is Evelyn Marquez, and I am speaking on behalf of Phoenix College Preparatory Academy's student body. I acknowledge Ms. Thomas, our school principal, Mr. Boyd, our superintendent, and Dr. Britt, our Phoenix College executive chancellor and provost. I am currently Phoenix College Preparatory Academy student treasurer and elected and inducted to serve as student body president in the 2026-2027 school year. I would like to acknowledge the 2025-2026 officers in their absence. This includes President Anissa Roman, Secretary Harmony Lee, historians Natalie Ramirez, and Cynthia Carrillo. Lastly, I'd also like to acknowledge Ms. Starks, our student government advisor, as well as thank Dr. Narini for attending our side councils this year. Next slide, please. Our values empower students, build self-advocacy, and foster collaboration. At PCPA, we support students going far, close to home. Next slide, please. Collaboration the Bear Way. This semester, we participated in Phoenix College Club's involvement and resource fair, providing Phoenix College community with an opportunity to learn more about our school. As we conclude the semester, we celebrate achievement in these programs with 85% of our seniors being accepted into a four-year college or university, 26 seniors continuing or completing pathways through Phoenix College, including certificates and associate's degrees, 18 students from the class of 2026 completing the ACE program, and 16 students from the class of 2028 being accepted into the ACE program. Our capstone course continues to support students in preparing for post-secondary success through education and career planning, mock interviews, resume development, and e-portfolio creation, contributing to students' success beyond high school. As we pursue National Student Council membership for the 2026-2027 school year, our student leaders had the opportunity to continue leadership development at the state level through our participation in the Arizona Association of Student Council State Convention at Gilbert High School, where we explored this year's theme, Ohana, Leadership is a Family Business. Next slide, please.
President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Council, and guests. My name is Berenice Flores. I am currently Phoenix College Preparatory Academy Student Body Vice President and elected and inducted to serve another term as Vice President for the 2026-2027 school year. I am here to present One School, One Community, and One Bear Nation. In our Community Awareness Club, we recently celebrated Social Worker Month for the first time, honoring Dr. Harris through a student-led recognition of her impact on our school community. With her support, we developed over 40 community partnerships that provided resources for student families, including emergency assistance. These partnerships also supported senior celebrations such as Senior Parent Breakfast and Senior Brunch for the class of 2026. Next slide, please. Leading the Bear Way. Through our student leadership class, we practiced and applied leadership skills by supporting many of our that will be highlighted in our blue and gold moments. In addition to this, student leaders organized positivity and kindness programs during state testing, hosted a night under the stars, prom 2026, completed elections for the 2026-2027 school year, and began planning events for the next school year focused on continued student engagement and school improvement. We also had the opportunity to host governing boards Dr. Narini and Ms. Sullivan, along with governing board secretary Ms. Davis, for a campus tour where we highlighted successful programs including our social worker department and community awareness club service project, the school pantry, as well as areas identified for continued growth. These experiences reinforced what we learned at the Arizona Association of Student Council State Convention. Leadership is a family business, and meaningful engagement strengthens both our school and community. Next slide, please. Our blue and gold moments as Phoenix College Preparatory Academy, including our maintaining our A-letter grade from the Arizona Department of Education, participating annually in the Balls of Palooza in collaboration with Dr. Barnes of the Balls Elementary School District, a community awareness club and student government service initiative led by Dr. Harris, and celebrating Ms. Starks receiving the AZ Family Silver Apple Award in recognition of 16 years of student mentorship and her impact on student leaders, in which we had the opportunity to contribute to her nomination process based on the impact she had on us as student leaders. We also strengthened student voices through site council, hosted our first formal award ceremony, and expanded college and career readiness through our college and career fair with over 20 participating organizations and departments. Following the success of our STEM fair, we were invited to pilot the Junior Achievement Heroes program in Phoenix next school year, bringing the financial literacy to education to elementary students. We also introduced OSO, PCPA's first official mascot, as part of our efforts to build school culture and community pride. It has been an exciting semester and end of the school year for PCPA. Next slide, please.
Looking ahead together, we will continue to advocate for resources and funding opportunities that support students and community success in areas of health and wellness, career planning, facilities, and additional extracurricular opportunities that increase student engagement. We hope to share our success with everyone again next school year. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Phoenix College Preparatory Academy. Good evening. My name is Anthony Guerra, Vice President of Communication. I plan to obtain my degree in dental assisting and hygiene and graduate in 2027. I will tell you about how PC students are serving our community. Next slide, please. Our students continue to show up both on and off campus with heart and purpose. This semester, PC United, PC Business Club, and PC Sustainability Club joined forces to complete 4 Adopt the Street cleanups, keeping our neighborhood clean and vibrant. Our students also volunteered at 7 St. Mary's Food Distribution, impacting 1,200 community members and dedicated time to care for our very own PC garden. Beyond service, our students brought joy and sustainability to campus by hosting a Valentine's Day marketplace and an Earth Day clothing shop and swap, creating fun, meaningful spaces for our PC community to connect and give back. We are incredibly proud of the compassion and dedication our students bring to everything they do. Next slide, please. Our NAACP BSU Club hosted our Black History Month luncheon and celebration. Our chess club hosted its first chess tournament on campus. Lastly, PC United hosted our first spring annual signature event, PC Spring Carnival, to celebrate the coming of spring and build connections with our community.
Next slide, please. Good evening. My name is Ludwig Chavez Gonzalez, Phoenix College Student Senator. I recently received my Bachelor of Science degree in Public Safety Administration at PC commencement ceremony. I will tell you about how our PC students are empowering and engaging others. Next slide, please. Phoenix College student clubs are leading the way in empowering their peers and developing the next generations of leaders. This semester, the PC United Civics Committee, led by Luis Duque, justice 3 impactful programs rooted in civic engagement, including a Know Your Rights workshop in partnership with ACLU Arizona, a living library experience facilitated by public safety professor Stephanie Molina, and a Bear Talk series featuring Arizona State Representative Cesar Aguilar, who inspired students with his journey as public servant, where campus club involvement fair also opened, exceeded doors for the students to connect, engage, and find their community on campus. And in a memorable cultural experience, or Mitchell Club, chaperoned by Dr. Trino Sandoval and Councilwoman Laura Pastor, traveled to San Diego to explore the historic Chicano Park, its powerful murals, the museum, and the beautiful Balboa Park. We are proud of the curiosity, leadership, and community spirit our students continue to demonstrate. Next slide, please. This semester, PC United partnered with Student Life, Transfer Service, and Recruitment Services to host Student Success Fair, where campus clubs, student support departments, and off-campus resources came to offer student resources to help them succeed. These events are helping to clubs live up to their name of experience transformative excellence. Lastly, our PC community was honored to welcome Senator Annalise Ortiz, who joined our Mecha students in the restoration of this historic Mecha mural, supporting efforts to preserve an important piece of our PC community history. Next slide, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aliyah Villagrana, member at large of PC United Student Government and female co-chair of our PC Mecha.
and I will receive my associate's degree in communications and graduate in May of 2027. I will share with you about celebrations and amazing accomplishments at Phoenix College. Next slide, please. What a semester of milestones we're celebrating. Bumstead the Bear marked his 105th birthday on March 10th, joined by special guests Paz the Puma and Echo the Gecko. Phoenix College was honored to receive a $10,000 grant from the Smart and Final Charitable Foundation, along with continued support from the BHSS Legacy Foundation, both helping sustain our vital Bumstead Resource Room. We also proudly recognize Professor Kate Valdivia, our education faculty, as this year's Distinguished Faculty Honoree. And in a truly special moment, we unveiled a stunning Phi Theta Kappa mural at our North Gymnasium. A masterpiece brought to life by muralist and PCA alumni Edgar Fernandez in collaboration with the talented Thomas Breeze Marcus. More than a week ago marked a milestone with 654 graduates crossing the stage. Yay! 84 of them earning bachelor degrees. Double yay! We are so proud of all that our Phoenix College community continues to achieve. Next slide, please.
At Phoenix College, we believe in growing leaders, building community, and taking care of one another. As Phoenix College Bears, we are proud of the connections we share, the welcoming community we continue to build together. We wish you all a safe, restful, rejuvenated summer. Thank you and have a good night.
Dr. Narina?
I have a question and a comment. I want to congratulate I believe it's 24 students from the PC High School who are on track to get their associate's degree this year. So congratulations to them. And I just also want to ask, if there are any issues or concerns the students have that you want to share with the board?
Yes. President Thord, Board Member Dr. Novini, thank you so much for your question. As a student body representative, I do get to see student issues up personal. One of the issues that we are facing is food insecurity. We've noticed a high amount of people coming into our Bumstead Resource Room and also our St. Mary's Food Bank distribution. Another issue that I've noticed is that a lot of students don't necessarily have the classes that they need provided at Phoenix College, so that they had to go to a different school, and it's a lot since they had to go through transportation and situations like that. And during the process, there's some paperwork that they need to fill out, but they don't have the proper guidance to know what they have to fill out or how they are getting set up properly to go to different schools. And with that is just another issue that we've been facing in Phoenix College that we've been trying to work on is just having more academic advisors. We know that our academic advisors work really hard, and some of them are also advising certain clubs and other programs outside of just their academic role. So that's maybe why they don't have necessarily that time, but some students do feel like there's just a disconnect between advisors and students, that they're not necessarily being heard. And another issue that I would say is just a little bit of confusion within the federal work study process, and specifically the wait list and what entails being on the wait list and how long, since some students are only there for a semester or two and they're not able to receive that financial assistance since they had to get onto a wait list.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a special surprise, President Thord, Board Member Marie Sullivan. We didn't bring any gifts, but we wanted to honor your request for last meeting. So we have a little something prepared. Cover your ears. We're not professionals. We took choir in 5th grade. So, okay. Hail Phoenix College, cheer her bright name. Deep in our hearts will her memory remain. Forever down through the ages, praise shall sound. Honor and glory her name renowned. Thank you so much, and I apologize if we hurt your eardrum.
That was wonderful, and Miss Bittersmith has a comment.
I am not commenting on the singing, but thank you for that. What I did want to say is thank you to the college prep leadership for your continued interaction with Baltz Elementary. I served some time on that school board, and it has grown and benefited from your interaction. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for continuing to be there as great mentors, and results are happening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you have a good summer too.
Thank you.
May I just want to throw in a thank you, and you did a great job, and I didn't have to cover my ears. Thank you. But thanks for the surprise. That was very touching.
I just noted that some of the other students weren't singing along.
Yeah, I know.
A little disappointed with that. So.
And yeah, next time. Thanks again.
I want all the students to know, both the senators as well as the representatives of Phoenix College and the Preparatory Academy, that you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting. However, if you need to slip out, you will not offend us. We understand you have a lot going on in your lives. And now we're ready for the Faculty Executive Council report. Matt Jolly.
President Thor, Governing Board members, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests, greetings. Since this is my first Governing Board presentation, I felt like I should introduce myself. Matt Jolly. I was hired as an adjunct faculty member at Gateway Community College in 2002, and it was my first teaching job after grad school. 4 years later, I was hired full-time. That was 2006. I teach English, mostly composition, sometimes creative writing, and sometimes literature. In my time in Maricopa, I have been a faculty senate president. I have served on the residential faculty and administration collaboration team that writes the policy, the RFA. I've co-chaired the Committee on Academic Freedom. I have served as a faculty developer at Gateway, supporting faculty professional growth. And I was a tri-chair of Maricopa's initial AI task force back in 2022 when ChatGPT landed on our heads. And that's what I wanted to talk to you. Oh, I also want to mention that over the last year, I've been very lucky to learn under Stacy Smith and Ramona Goff. They have been exceptional mentors for me. And I'm looking forward to working with Dr. Pam Doody as the incoming president-elect, an exceptional colleague, and I have no doubt that we'll do great work together. So on to the address. Since the emergence of ChatGPT in November of 2022, AI has rapidly transformed higher education. Today, I'd like to highlight some of the innovative ways that MCCCD faculty across the district are currently using AI to support student learning while preserving their educational goals. Amy McPherson, a communications faculty member at Phoenix College, designed a scholarship assistant agent. The agent engages students through the development and revision of a scholarship application essay by asking them questions that guide them toward more meaningful and impactful writing. The tool supports, rather than replaces, critical thinking. She developed another AI agent for faculty that will create example essays for faculty based upon course competencies, learning objectives, and desired length. These example essays can then be used to teach students important concepts. Ginger Leyendecker, a faculty member in art at Mesa Community College, uses AI to translate English lessons into Spanish so students have language options as they navigate her class. Miguel Fernandez, an English faculty member at CGCC, has fully integrated AI across his composition classes, encouraging students to use these tools at all stages of the writing process, but in ethical ways that engage with fundamental problems like hallucinations, bias, and academic misconduct. He also teaches students how to use AI to translate complex ideas into accessible language. Students in his class explore 8 areas of AI literacy through whole class discussion. Marsha Corby uses AI in all of her math classes and in her role as division chair. For her math classes, she has used AI to help her develop lessons and examples that are more accessible to students of all abilities, translating concepts into easily digestible explanations and practice problems. She has also used it to brainstorm student success supports, including pretest study guides, tutoring structures, and breakout sessions. In a conversation with a student about her career goals, they used AI collaboratively to brainstorm educational pathways that required less math and led to a career in forensic science. She sees a potential for this to be scaled for advisors. Malda Siraji, an economics professor at Chandler Gilbert Community College, has created character AIs. These are AIs trained on the materials of John Maynard Keynes and Friedrich Hayek, deceased economists. Students can then engage with the character AIs, having a conversation with these theorists, concepts, and principles. She also has an assignment where students reverse engineer the question to an answer. The assignment teaches students how to use prompting effectively to achieve a result. Dennis Kibbe, a computer science faculty member at Mesa, uses Claude AI as a partner in developing practice quizzes, revising lectures, and developing rubrics. In her data governance class at MCC, Carrie Sisson replaced a written assignment with a mock interview. The AI agent asks students probing questions about key data governance roles. When students provide shallow or incomplete answers, the AI is trained to ask follow-up questions to elicit deeper responses. Students answer these interview questions and submit a transcript of the interaction for a grade. These are just a few of the many, many examples of how Maricopa faculty are engaging with AI. But deep skepticism persists, even among many of the early adopters. AI can be used by students in ways that violate academic integrity in both policy and spirit. If a student dumps an assignment prompt into an AI tool, copies the output, and submits it as their own work without any critical engagement with the material, the student has learned nothing about the process of critical thinking or the content of the assignment. While faculty have access to AI detection software, this software is known to produce false positives, and so it cannot alone serve as evidence of misconduct. This fundamental problem is an obstacle to more widespread faculty adoption of AI across the district. And until we have a better answer to the question, how do we prevent students from using AI to cheat, we will continue to talk in circles with those faculty most resistant to AI, and for good reason. If you believe in the value of original, critical, and creative thought, you will not be persuaded by people who ask you to overlook this fundamental problem. At a larger scale, the academic integrity issue poses an existential threat to the project of higher education. A product called Einstein is an AI agent that can be directed to get an A in a fully online class. The student does not need to do anything more than provide the AI agent with login credentials. From there, Einstein will take all tests and quizzes, post to all discussion boards, and write all essays. A degree signals to employers that a student has mastered a body of knowledge. How much is that degree worth if employers know that the student may simply have assigned an AI agent to the job of earning the degree? Often the student voice is lost in this conversation. Ty Wellborn, current interim dean at Phoenix College and incoming VPAA at CGCC, shared the results of a recent student survey on AI conducted at Phoenix College. The survey garnered 465 responses, a high number for a survey of its kind. Student responses to the survey suggest a reluctance toward AI that borders on outright antipathy. While 74% of students state that they have used AI for schoolwork at least occasionally, a combined 57% are not very confident or not at all confident in AI-created content. When asked what they want to learn about AI, 35% answered that they are, quote, not interested in learning about AI. This was the highest ranked answer, followed by wanting to learn, quote, how AI is changing my field of study or future career. When asked what their top barriers were, 51.4% responded that they believe AI gives inaccurate or unreliable results, and 43% said they were, quote, concerned about becoming too dependent on AI. The third most common response was that students were concerned about the environmental impact of AI. If faculty and administrators discuss the environmental impact, it is almost never more than an afterthought. But this issue matters a great deal to our students. At this point, an uncritical championing of the wholesale adoption of AI is unpalatable to most faculty, even AI proponents. For educators, the more important questions center around the impact of AI use on independent, critical, and creative thinking. Our goal is to help students to learn and grow, not simply to receive unearned A's. Research has already demonstrated that engaging with AI in the wrong ways leads to a decline in students' ability to think critically. At a time when employers are asking for exactly these skills from our students, the ability to think critically and independently and to solve complex problems, we must be especially attentive to the ways we adopt and the ways we avoid AI use in the endeavor of teaching and learning. Maricopa's AI Resource Center, ARC, promises to help us all better understand AI and apply it effectively, ethically, and responsibly to our work across the district. The ARC is led by Tri-Chairs Gordon Inman, Sonal Joshi, and Caitlin Southerly. Caitlin is an English faculty member at PVCC. The team is working on a structure of the center that will focus on 4 areas: strategy, security and governance, teaching and learning, AI credentials, and operational efficiency and employee training. This team has been committed to shared governance principles and has sought faculty and staff engagement throughout. With engaged faculty and staff, a team of experts committed to ethical innovation, and an institutional commitment to the work in the form of time and resources, I'm confident that MCCCD can become a leader in the AI conversation. Thank you.
Charlie?
Matt, that was amazing.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I loved it. I think it totally summarizes everything that I personally am feeling about AI. And we go to these conferences and, you know, AI is the big subject. And Marie has even said, you know, it scared us to death, you know, when we heard all these, you know, sessions about AI. And I think it's a useful tool, but I keep going back to, you know, I remember when calculators came out and people were afraid that kids wouldn't be able to do math. And my kids went to work as a hostesses at Coco's where they didn't have a cash register that told them how much change to give back. And they had to scribble on a piece of paper to figure that out. And I realized that nobody had taught them how to count back change because they had always had a calculator. And that's my biggest fear with this. And so I am very anxious to find the secret answer to how we can work with all of this. So that was a wonderful presentation. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Other questions or comments? All right, thank you.
And next we have the adjunct faculty group report. Kim Bosch.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the governing board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. We have just finalized updates and amendments to our bylaws, and they are going to be sent over to be reviewed by HR and move up the chain of approvals. One of the issues we faced over the last several years has been with elections with our bylaw, and which relates to our bylaws. Due to the nature of adjunct faculty employment and unpredictability, we found that ourselves running elections multiple times a year, whether it's due to vacancies caused by a rep who needs to step down due to an OIO, or whether somebody just is overwhelmed by the work or whatever they have going on. And we realize that we can't keep running elections twice a semester. So in recognizing that this can be somewhat chaotic, we're now addressing this challenge through developing a new election schedule, along with supporting ways to fill our vacancies. In our recent adjunct faculty group board meeting, we discussed a new election cycle concept, which was approved unanimously by our AFG board. And we'll be working on developing this when the board reconvenes in July. We also discussed the question of if there is a vacancy between elections, would the president be able to appoint an AFG rep for the vacant position with the approval of the board. Example, via somebody asking someone who had previously served as an adjunct faculty group rep or somebody recommended by VPAA. This was discussed and voted on with an unanimous approval and with the condition that the appointed rep position would be an interim position until the next election cycle. I love the board because we are incorporating shared governance in all of our conversations, and it leads to better solutions. On this note, I'm pleased to announce that we have our first appointed adjunct faculty group rep. We have a vacancy that has been open for about 6 months at Glendale Community College, and our wonderful Glendale rep has been shouldering all the responsibilities. And we are now announcing Donna Atwood as our interim position for GCC. And she has previously served as an adjunct faculty group representative. So she does understand the role, and she's actually very eager to come on and take on new tasks with this and learn more about how we've changed some of our structure and serve our adjunct faculty group at large better. Bringing stability to the adjunct faculty group board, as well as continuity in the work that we do and the messaging that we share with the adjunct faculty population at large, has been one of our foremost commitments over the past several years. Our upcoming work will start to address the retention of adjunct faculty, and our Gateway Community College rep, Mo Zaru, is looking into tracking the data on transitions from adjunct to residential positions to combine with other research and develop a better picture of the adjunct tenure and retention. Lastly, I wanted to share that I was pleased to be part of the Chancellor's Search Committee. I enjoyed the engagement with my fellow committee members and the work that we did. And I'll close by wishing a fond farewell to Dr. Gonzalez, and as well as good wishes for his next adventure with the Community College Leadership Doctoral Program at Kansas City University. Thank you again for all of your work with us at MCCCD. And on behalf of all of the adjunct faculty group, thank you very much. And any questions? All right, thank you so much.
The staff representation report, Jason Rich and Tony Moak.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of SGEC, and esteemed guests and colleagues. It is my pleasure to present the election results from this year's staff representation election. Next slide, please. We currently have 44 representatives in our body for the upcoming term. Of these 15 of the representatives are new, and 29 are returning or continuing on from this year, where I'm having trouble talking tonight. We have 20 non-exempt and 24 exempt representatives this year. Hopefully we'll grow that a little bit as we get going. The new representatives will participate in a 2-day in-person onboard training in June 10th and 11th. Thank you, Board Member Bittersmith and Board Member Sullivan, for volunteering to join us. I can tell you right now that's their highlight every year. They love talking to the board members, so this will be a wonderful experience for them. That day we'll be doing it from the new district office. I've secured a spot. Thank you, sir, for doing that for us. We have released our staff survey and we'll be running through the beginning of June. We will have that data compiled to present to you after the new year. I would like to turn it over to Jason to provide our next staff spotlight.
Next slide, please. So this month we want to talk about a job family that doesn't have its own unique home. Like we talked about police, they're all in the police division. We talk about IT and they're a little scattered, but administrative support, they don't have their own home division. They serve every division across the entire system. So we want to take a minute to highlight them. So next slide, please. So we need administrative support at every level of the organization. And so what they've done is they've spread it out across different pay grades based on the level of support it's providing. So if you see the support structures, the office assistant, they are pretty general. They don't have that high level authority, but as you go up each state, you can take on, I'm taking on a faculty, or I'm taking on a division, I'm taking on a dean or an executive. And so that's the way the different grades break out is about the level of responsibility that falls underneath you, how many people you're covering administrative support for. The in position, you can see I just went and pulled the numbers from our employee directory, and you can see how many roughly we have in that, but I wouldn't take that at the word. That was just a quick pull from our directory. So you can see we have over 200 admin support spread across the district, keeping all of our gears turning. And you'll see that at least one of those is in our room here, so thank you, Elza. And so that was our division spotlight. You'll work with all of them across the district in different capacities. And now we're going to invite up our district office reps who will be speaking this month for their division spotlight or their unit spotlight.
President Thor, members of the governing board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests, both physical and virtual. My name is Matthew Flores. I am a student service specialist for the District Financial Aid Services, and I am the senator for the staff representation for the district office unit. With me is Keely Howell, who is the analyst senior for our employee relations and human resources. With us as well is Veronica Moreno, who unfortunately couldn't be with us due to surgery. She is our analyst for our small business division for the Arizona Small Business Division Development Center. And Jenny Willett, who is our hired on fully virtual analyst senior for human resources IS benefits. Next slide, please. So with district office, there has been many changes that have taken place. With the implementation of shared governance of last year, it's been a consistent effort of trying to improve and grow with where we are now and trying to be a better organization as a collective whole. With so many changes, we've also had many updates regarding the leadership that operates with district office, such as our executive vice chancellor and provost, Dr. Kimberly Britt, our CHRO, Charlene Paulet, our vice chancellors, respectively, for business services and our new CFO, Dennis Karan, workforce and economic development, Valerie Jones. We are in the process of hiring the chief information officer for the time being, our interim chief information officer, Gordon Wishon. We also had a chief internal auditor, Mary Molesky. And we've also had a couple of updates for leadership within our Small Business Development Center. We've hired a network state director, Beth Rosantiski, apologies, and a assistant state director, Ruth Ellen Ilinsky. Next slide, please. With as much changes as going on, we thank the governing board for bringing in a new building and purchasing a new building to be the new home for district office. That was back in late fall. We are currently in the process of getting everything settled. We will slowly start the transition process of moving the actual personnel to the new district office building next month, hopefully going on to the end of the year, possibly going into the beginning of the next one. We look forward to our new chancellor, to which I take this moment to thank Dr. Gonzalez for everything he has done for serving the district office and for the organization, not only as the chancellor, but also during the fun times that took place during the pandemic and helping keeping things together and working progressively as we transitioned into now the potential future that we all look forward to. The Mesa Community College's police department also has implemented a new public safety development model that looks into a 365-day, 24/7 modeling service across not only the colleges and the units, but also across the areas in between the collective organization. We've also have seen the launch of Maricopa Community College's district's AI Resource Center, otherwise known as ARC, which is a strategic hub that focuses on the alignment and the coordination of anything related to AI resources and tools, as you have heard many times earlier during this presentation. to try to lead Maricopa in its future vision, to try to be a future leader of technology moving forward to not only the next academic year, but also across the board, not only for staff, for faculty, but also for our students as well. During this past fiscal year, we've also had a few special brown bag guests. We've had human resources and benefits join on for open enrollment during the late fall semester, as there were many changes going on with the open enrollment. So we wanted to make sure employees were aware of what was to take place. With our new CHRO and our new vice chancellor and provost, they had started just before winter break. We wanted to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves to district employees shortly after the beginning of the spring semester, once they got things got into the swing of things, got understanding of how things going on, and then bring everything to the fold. And then the last guest that we had was in relation to IT, with the passing of the governing board's policy of the acceptable use policy, as well as the introduction of the AI Resource Center. We brought those guests on board to give a better understanding of what the actual policy means for employees as we also transition to the new building, and what the AI Resource Center has to offer moving forward. Very much still a work in progress. We're focusing on getting tools and resources available for employees and faculty, hopefully to make that available for students sometime in the future. But that is all that we have to share. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Do board members have any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much. Very interesting. We're now at awards and recognition. I want to bring to the board's attention that on the consent agenda are 2 emeritus distinctions. And now we're ready for the chancellor's update.
Thank you, Dr. Thor. I think our employees wanted to be sure I got my presentation quota in before leaving Maricopa. So there are going to be a couple presentations followed by my report afterwards. So we're going to start off with Dr. Britton. I'm not sure who's joining her, but the academic master plan presentation for May 2026. There's been some exciting work and progress that's been made over the last several months, and Dr. Britt's going to let us know what's been going on and, more importantly, where we're headed. Thank you.
President Thor, members of the governing board, Chancellor Gonzalez, fellow colleagues, members of the SGEC, it is indeed an honor to stand before you this evening as the Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost, a role that I've been in for 6 months, and the first no-fail mission that I was given was to ensure that this academic plan was well underway. It is a significant portion of the Chancellor's goals and our strategic plan. This plan is moving. We're about 1/3 of the way through our work, and I want to begin by sharing a moment of gratitude. Even though I am charged as the provost with leading this work, I share the leadership of this work with a team of leaders who have ensured that we are up and running. I'd like to acknowledge President Amy Diaz, President Tiffany Hernandez, Ramona Goth from Scottsdale Community College, Dr. Pam Duty, faculty member at Phoenix College, John Snelling, Associate Vice President at Estrella Community College, Dr. Stacy Smith at Paradise Valley Community College, and Lauren Yena, as well as Lauren, is at Gateway Community College, and Dr. Kathy Hernandez from the district office. This is the leadership team that is helping me to lead the information that I will share with you tonight. And they have been instrumental in helping me to roll this out across the system. And I want to make sure that their hard work is recognized as well. Next slide, please, Elsa. Work of this significant matters today more than ever before. And what I will share with you tonight is a developing strategic and an emphasis on a strategic academic master plan. It is the first of its kind for our system. We are seeking to lead in academic quality in our county and in our state. We are seeking to shape public's trust and service with purpose and intentionality. The reason behind our work is based in shifting demographics, rapidly changing technology, and an expanding workforce. I would be remiss if I didn't also connect to information that Matt Jolly shared earlier. AI is impacting how we need to look at our academic programs as well, and how we need to shift those programs. It requires us as a system to be forward thinking and prepared, all while we need to be cognizant of our budget and facility demands. As we weigh these facility demands and those strains, it requires us to be forward looking in ways that we have not as a system. Next slide, Elza. The Academic Master Plan, which I have named AMPed intentionally to motivate and inspire the people that I am trying to get amped up as we do this work. The team across the system consists of 75 faculty, staff, and data leaders across the system from all 10 colleges, as well as the district office, who are seeking to insist that as we enhance and base this work in our mission, vision, and values, that we are mindful that we are not only developing a workforce, but that we are also developing an informed citizenry. Next slide, please, Elza. A strong academic master plan will strengthen academic quality. It will expand access and opportunity for our students. It will also ensure that we are aligning our programs to Arizona's workforce needs. It should and will provide clarity and consistency in academic decisions. And that is very important if we are to be mindful and purposeful in how we are expending our resources across the system, as the use of those resources is becoming more and more challenging for us. Next slide, please, Elza. This slide is very important to seeing the conceptual layout of the academic master plan and how it will unfold. I like to call this the 3 guts section. These are the main parts. There obviously will be an introductory section of our academic master plan, and there will be a concluding section, but this is the body section. The part of the academic master plan that will be completed next week, it actually is completed, we will release the results, is the existing academic portfolio. This work has taken a deep dive, which I will share with you in just a moment on subsequent slides. The second section is the strategic program expansion. Once we understand where we are with our 650-ish programs of study and how they're performing, we will have a very good idea of what we need to add or expand to meet our workforce needs. The third section of our academic master plan, thank you, ChatGPT, we have named that the Academic Program Optimization and Sustainability. This section will help us know what we need to consolidate, close, or revise. And I'll talk about each of these sections in subsequent slides. What underpins all of this is our budget, our faculty needs, technological impacts, and facilities that would need to be thoughtfully renovated, expanded, or even constructed if necessary. Next slide, please. Underpinning all of this work will be a data review and environmental analysis. Much of this work is already underway. The first section, which I'll talk about with you in just a moment, has already been completed, and that will inform section 2 and 3. The data that will be used for sections 2 and 3 will be completed concurrently. That work will be started over the summer and will conclude in the fall. And I will talk about one piece that will take us a little bit, maybe into early spring to complete. Next slide, please, Elsa. Data and analysis progress, emerging areas of insight. So here's what we know so far. Program strengths and specializations that currently exist. Student momentum and completion patterns have been discovered. Opportunities for stronger coordination among the 10 colleges and workforce alignment opportunities have been unveiled. Next slide, Elsa. I mentioned earlier that the 1/3 of the work has been completed, and that is work around our existing academic portfolio. This work has been led by Ramona Goth and John Snelling and a team of about 15 individuals from across different constituent groups from the 10 colleges and the district office. The work has looked at program inventory and credential type. It has used the Unlocking Opportunity Framework for CTE programs of study, and it has looked at how these programs are, students in these programs are performing, how the programs align with wage criteria. It has looked at completion and outcomes. This is important because federal mandates are requiring that we now assess how our students are doing and the return on education and the value of a program. So we will need to do this as a system. Additionally, we have looked at our transfer programs. How are our students doing when they leave us? And where do we need to make improvements as a system? We've established criteria for program performance, and we've categorized high-performing programs of inventory. I want to stress that in addition to quantitative review, we will also have a qualitative review of our programs. I need to also emphasize that there are programs that exist for society that are foundational and important to the cultural and social development of society. There are programs that don't necessarily lead to a high wage, but are high value. And we have to make sure that we maintain those. We can be all things to all people, but we may not be able to be that 10 times over. CNAs, EMTs, art programs are very important, and we need to be mindful as we look at these programs and evaluate them. And I've had many discussions with many people about that. Next slide, please, Elsa. The data and analysis progress has been completed. Dr. Hernandez and I are meeting with the data team on Thursday to refine the presentation and ensure that we have scrubbed those slides and we will begin to share that work very broadly. And this is the first third of the program. So I'm pleased to share with the board that the task that the Chancellor charged my office with is on track for completion for the end of this calendar year. We met our target. I had hoped to have the whole plan finished. I was like, yeah, we'll get it done. That was not realistic. But the first third is completed. Work will continue over the summer, and we will begin to look at the second part of the academic master plan and the third part. We anticipate that the full academic master plan will be finished at the end of the fall semester, or at least 90% finished, and I'll explain why momentarily. Next slide, please, Elsa. Strategic program expansion is very important. We all know that our programs will continue to evolve based on jobs that come into our county, workforce needs, and revision. This requires that we will need to continue to consolidate programs, change programs, and we are looking at frameworks to guide and develop those programs. I won't read this slide to you, but you can see what is guiding the direction of this work. We are looking at how we stack our programs, and we are working very closely with our Vice Chancellor for Workforce, Valerie Jones, to ensure that workforce opportunities stack into certificates, certificates stack into associate degrees, and associate degrees stack into our bachelor's degrees. So there are multiple on and off ramps for our students. That is very important. And we know that the colleges that do this well do that well. Next slide, please. This slide is very important, and this section of the academic plan will be the most challenging for us as a system because it will require great change. We know that from our early data that we have heavy duplication. We know that where our students attend has shifted. We can look at our enrollment patterns across the system. We know that some of our programs are heavily duplicated. They are at 7, 8, 9 colleges. And we can look at the enrollment and see that we are, quite frankly, eating our own. We need our programs to be at a high efficiency rate. If our budget doesn't get bigger, then we must be more efficient at what we do. Our data does suggest that we are duplicating too much. That is one piece of the academic master plan that we will have to look at as a system. The second consideration for the third part of the academic master plan will be to understand how AI will impact our students, in what programs. Helios Decision Center helps us with this. It can tell us what jobs and what degrees will be irrelevant. It would be cruel for us to continue to enroll students in programs where there will be no job for them. It is unconscionable for us to do that. We have a couple of options where we know that is the case. We can change that degree. Maybe the associate degree is not an option. Perhaps it should be a bachelor's degree if it is allowable by the legislation. We have a responsibility to solve that problem for our students. Revise the program, expand the program, or teach it out. But we must do that for our students. We must also do that for the faculty who teach there. And we can look 5 years out. This is a 10-year academic master plan, and we must be responsible. The other piece that we need to do, and if you've attended any conference in higher education, we know that the best colleges are doing one thing right. They're not just having programs in AI. They are developing certifications within a program. And AI literacy for healthcare workers or dental workers. I could give multiple examples. This will allow us to create sustainability and students who are ready to work with AI in their field of study. This will be part of this work. Optimization doesn't mean that we close our programs, but that we operate more efficiently as a system so that we leave room in our budget to be innovative. This will be hard work. It will require our 10 presidents to work as a team for the good of our system. Next slide, please, Elsa. All strategic plans, all academic master plans, when done well, will also have a method for evaluating the plan. This is a 10-year plan, but it will be viewed annually. We will have to develop a scorecard. We will have to develop indicators by section to review this plan annually. We will need to include the student voice in the assessment of our plan and have a review cycle and seat a team of experts, not just shared governance, but experts to weigh in on the effectiveness. That is what will occur in the fall as we begin to make these decisions. I don't have all the answers for you yet of how we will seat this and who will be on it, but that is the work that will continue. Next slide, please, Elsa. Our next steps. And as you can see, we've done a lot. We are not finished. We will continue work groups, collaborations. We have, as I said, about 75 people across the district who are contributing to this work. We will continue the refinement of our analysis and our findings. I will come back and update you at some point early fall of where we are and what we have found, and then where we're going. And then obviously I will share with you the full plan as we've finished. We will develop strategic recommendations. We will share those with you and obviously allow you to weigh in on those. And then, as I got out of order there, ongoing updates with the board. We're excited about this work. It will allow us to be purposeful in where we place programs. As you've seen with our bachelor's degrees, we've been very intentional about how many we start, where we place them, and not duplicating them. That's what we're trying to do with all of our other programs. The painful part is we're doing it in reverse. But if you think about what we're doing with our bachelor's degrees, that's the model. And that's what we want to do here. Obviously, our bachelor's degree will be a part of this plan as well. Thank you so much, and I'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Dr. Britt. Any comments or questions?
I, of course, have a comment.
Ms. Davis?
This was wonderful, Dr. Britt. Thank you. I really support this work. I appreciate the fact that you're not only looking at, I know the federal government is coming up with a lot of metrics for success, but I appreciate you chiming in with the courses that we have to continue, because, you know, I work for an organization that talks about education from preschool through university, and early education is really important to me. And as I'm hearing about all this stuff, and I'm thinking about childcare workers and what a terrible time they have getting those workers to begin with, this is very scary to me. So I'm really thankful to you for not letting go of those critical needs. And the efficiency part is really appealing to me. So thank you for this hard work. Thanks to you and everybody that's doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Sullivan?
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you to the 75 people who were involved in this. That's pretty incredible. A couple things coming at it from a board perspective. Is 10 years an average across academic plan life?
It is when you have to connect a facilities master plan. When this is finished, that's what comes next. And as we try to think about our facilities, if we know where we're headed broadly with our academic master plan, it allows us to make better decisions with our capital funds. It allows us to know which buildings might need to come to the board for a recommendation for renovation, which ones we might need to hold on to based on there's going to be a very expensive program coming on the west end or the east end based on what workforce trends we're seeing. I say a 10-year snapshot, but in reality, we will be looking at it annually.
My next question was in my brain here, and now I'm trying to recover it. Okay, well, we will. I don't know what we'll blame that issue on, but as you integrate, well, I know what it is. Back to the board situation, as you develop elements of this academic plan, how do you anticipate working with the board to ensure that our policies are going to match some of those platforms? I noticed when we're talking about some of the other elements, just giving the board updates is certainly good. How can we make sure that there's a parallel development for us around board policies?
Well, we've been very intentional about, of those 75 individuals, we have compliance participants on this work intentionally to ensure that we are following federal compliance. I have individuals from Leanne's team so that we're getting the fiscal lens built into this work. That also helps ensure that any aspect, I'm a global person, so that helps to ensure any board aspect or admin rag is being considered as we do this work. I don't know if that answers your question, Ms. Sullivan, but we're trying to build that in as we move, so that we're taking all of those things into consideration.
Yeah, I find that would be really important as we're thinking through, again, our own policies, particularly as we're working in the area of AI, as you will be in some of those other areas. My last comment, you mentioned it under the optimization and sustainability piece, where you certainly talked about the attitude of efficiencies or the issue of efficiencies, et cetera, for sustainability. But I also was pleased to hear the comment around developing people generally in the civics area or some of the humanities. And two of our important values as a system is integrity and the moral compass value. So as this moves forward, keeping that in mind, I really appreciate, so that we can be best stewards of not only the practice, but certainly the impact it will have on our students and faculty and staff moving forward. So I just wanted to call that out.
I'll give Matt Jolly a shout out. He's the Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder. I'll give Matt credit for helping to author that slide and that part of the academic master plan. We worked together on that.
Great, not surprised. Thank you, Matt. So anyway, well, thank you for your presentation and allowing me to comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Britt. Next, I would like to invite Julie Dunnigan up to the podium for foundation update. And one of our board members from the foundation.
Ready to start. Thank you, Chancellor, President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, members of the Shared Governance Executive Council, and guests. My name is Warren Whitney. I'm a board member of the Maricopa Community Colleges Foundation for the past 4 years. I'm joined tonight by the foundation's new president and CEO, Julie Dunnigan, who started 6 months ago and has hit the ground running since. Julie came to the foundation with a well-rounded track record in nonprofit, leading organizations in workforce development, healthcare, and community development. Since starting, she has engaged board members in new ways, raised funds for students and college programs, and provided more resources for the foundation team to expand operational efficiencies. She has set a high bar in a short period of time. On behalf of the entire board of directors, I'm pleased to welcome Julie to the foundation. Also joining us today are the foundation's leadership team, Judy Sanchez, COO, Zachary Jenner, Fiscal Director, and Neelam Patel, Chief Development Officer. Thank you for being here. I also want to thank the Chancellor, the college presidents, the Resource Development Council, and our district faculty partners for their collaboration, without which the work of the foundation would not be possible. And I want to thank our foundation board and foundation staff who work tirelessly on behalf of our students. Now it's my pleasure to share with you the great work of the foundation, how it impacts our students and our colleges. Feel free to follow along with the presentation included in your materials. Next slide. The foundation exists very simply to support the Maricopa County Community College District and its 10 colleges. We do that by securing philanthropic dollars, donations, to help pay for college programs that award students with scholarships and that give money to students to cover emergency basic needs. To that end, the foundation manages over 1,200 funds and works with over $92 million in assets tied to endowments and restricted funds. Here's an impact of that work. Next slide.
Hello, my name is Ana Lagarda and I'm a nursing student through the Maricopa Community Colleges. I'm making this video to thank the donor of this scholarship for supporting my education. I've been a nurse assistant for almost 1 year and fell in love with it, but as soon as I saw what nurses do for the patients, I knew I wanted to do that. It is something that inspires me every day that I'm at work, and I knew that I wanted to help people like that. Not only physically, but emotionally be there for them. It's something that I want to dedicate my career on. So thank you very much. This donation is really going to help me for the next 2 years that I'm going to be in school, and I will be forever grateful for this support you guys are bringing me. Thank you very much.
Okay, next slide, please. The foundation's work is fueled by our 23-person board, a diverse group of volunteers, blending professional expertise with passion for giving, ensuring that our goals are not just met, but exceeded. Next slide. You can see there's a diverse cross-section of workforce and industry partnerships represented. And I especially want to thank governing board members Donna Davis and Jacqueline Smith, as well as Presidents Kate Smith, Tiffany Hernandez, and Eric Lashinsky for representing the district and the colleges on the foundation board. As President Smith's term comes to an end, we're excited to welcome President Veronica Hippolito to the board in July. Next slide, please.
All right, the fancy stuff. President Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, and members of the Shared Governance Executive Council and guests. As the president and CEO of the Maricopa Community Colleges Foundation, it is my honor and pleasure to present you the foundation's superstars that you can see in the photo and listed here on the slide. We are a small but mighty team that works tirelessly behind the scenes to raise funds and distribute scholarships and emergency assistance to students while securing vital revenue that strengthens all 10 colleges across the district. Next slide. I also want to highlight our partners at the colleges. The Resource Development Council represents the local college fundraising professionals who work not for, but with the foundation to collaboratively raise money for students and programs across the district. Please note that during this presentation, when we talk about results, including dollars raised or scholarships awarded, know that this is inclusive of all of our efforts combined, the foundation team and the college's resource development teams, including college presidents. I may use the word foundation or we for simplicity, but know that I mean all combined efforts across the district. Next slide. Since our last update, the foundation achieved significant milestones that advanced success across the district, including, and you heard it here first, exceeding our $20 million Empowered for Student Success campaign goal ahead of schedule. Last fall, we also launched our first cohort of Maricopa Promise students, grew our assets to over $90 million, and had a successful Heroes of Education event. Next slide. We are so proud of the foundation and 10 colleges for exceeding the $20 million 3-year campaign goal for Empowered for Student Success, which launched in 2024 to remove financial barriers for students and now raised over $21 million to date and still going. This campaign supports key funding priorities that remove financial barriers and prepare students for today's most in-demand careers. The campaign officially ends on June 30th. Once we have our final number, we look forward to announcing and celebrating the accomplishment. Next slide. In November, we held our Heroes of Education Gala, which is something we do every other year. It allows the foundation and the colleges to recognize partners, donors, and supporters who move the needle forward in higher education. Proceeds from the gala support student scholarships and emergency funds. It was a beautiful evening of celebration, and I want to thank those of you who were there and able to attend the event. We look forward to our next Heroes of Education Gala in 2027, which will also celebrate the foundation's 50th anniversary. Next slide. One of the key pillars of our campaign was to support the Maricopa Promise Program, which is a district-wide promise program available to eligible MCCCD students who meet the criteria. We launched the very first Maricopa Promise cohort this past fall semester, and I'm happy to report that those students are doing really well. And early indications point to very high retention rates for this first cohort. Maricopa Promise students have the greatest demonstrated financial need, and most are first-generation students. I want to thank the district for the partnership on implementing this program. Next slide.
Okay, to capitalize on our trajectory, we've hit a record-setting $92 million in total assets, thanks to exceptional fundraising success combined with a strong market, a testament to the trust that our donors place in us. Next slide. That growth is what makes our work possible, ensuring college success through program support and student success through scholarships and emergency funds. We're proud of what's been accomplished so far and want to keep doing more. These numbers don't include the Maricopa Promise scholarships, which are in addition to this, so an extra 900 students and an extra $1 million. Next slide, please. Here's a look at how our fundraising is going across the district and against the goals that we set for ourselves. As you can see, we are positioned to have a very strong year. Next slide. Multi-college collaborations fueled much of that fundraising total and is a key component of our growth. We're grateful to all of our funding partners. A few are highlighted here, who continue to support our colleges and our students. Next slide.
So as we look forward to the next fiscal year and beyond, the foundation will be focusing on operational excellence so we can continue to support the growth we've had these past few years. We will continue to grow philanthropic support and funds to help with the district and students. And we look forward to that 50th anniversary year in 2027. Next slide. Now I know what you're all thinking. This is amazing. How can I help? Well, there are many ways that you as an individual can make a difference in the life of a student. I would invite you to consider supporting student scholarships or emergency funds with a donation. You can go to our website at mcccdf.org and know that the smallest amount makes the biggest difference in the life of a student who's trying to make higher education work for themselves and their families. Again, that website is mcccdf.org. Every little bit matters. You can also volunteer to be a scholarship reviewer and get to hear directly from students why this support is so impactful for them. And finally, I invite you to spread the word of what we're doing and what we're all about. We're here to make post-secondary education accessible and affordable to all students. Help us open the door to everyone. Next slide. Thank you so much, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members, any comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you very much and congratulations on all this success.
Thank you, Julian Warren, Dr. Thor, and members of the board. Continuing with my chancellor's update. Again, information related specifically to Phoenix College, since they were the students presenting tonight. As the academic year closes, Phoenix College reported fall 2025 headcount of more than 11,000 students, which reflects a 4% increase from the prior year and a 16% increase since 2020, returning enrollment to near pre-pandemic levels. There are positive gains that they expect to sustain and grow in the coming fall semester. And over the last year, PC's Bear Tracks and BART and youth student and family orientation programs have significantly improved first-time student retention, with participants returning at nearly twice the rate of non-participants. This work will have a measurable impact on student retention and success. Points of pride, and you heard this earlier from the students, that the college received a $10,000 donation in support of the college pantry, Bumstead's resource room for Smart and Final Charitable Foundation. These funds will expand capacity to support students by increasing ability to provide toiletries, school supplies, etc. This summer, PC will host 2 community events intended to expand access to resources and services. In partnership with Legacy Foundation BHHS, PC will host a backpack giveaway and health screening event for school-age children featuring STEAM workshops, which is expected to serve between 2,400 and 3,000 youth. Additionally, the college will host the Hispanic Chamber Community Health Fair for the 2nd consecutive year. And last year, this event engaged approximately 500 community members and more than 50 organizations providing valuable health resources and education. Strategic plans update. The new strategic plan, Excellence Through Impact, Vision 2030, has been communicated across the system, and colleges have been working to align with the system priorities and goals. And this marks the first aligned planning cycle in which both the system plan and college plans will launch year 1 simultaneously in the coming academic year. System enrollment commencement update. At 14 weeks prior to the start of the fall 2026, enrollment shows a slight 5.4% decline. This would be the first time in many semesters, but there's also many weeks left to improve that. However, headcount remains up 13% when we compare it to the fall 2024 semester. Across the system, over 18,000 degrees and certificates were conferred. Of those, approximately 350 were bachelor's degrees. Upper division bachelor's coursework included 1,716 students in the spring of 2026, indicating that sustained demand and progression in advanced degree pathways continues. For legislative update, now is an important time to remind our state legislators to prioritize funding for Maricopa Community Colleges in the state budget. Despite educating more Arizonans than any other institution of higher education in our state, the system continues to receive $0 in operating aid, something that has gone on for over a decade. We look forward to progress on this issue as the budget is finalized ahead of July 1st deadline. I recently had an opportunity to spend some time with a KJAZ reporter and on a radio interview on Thursday. It's my understanding that aired today. And then I also spent time at PBS Studios in downtown Phoenix on ASU's downtown campus with the Arizona Horizons show, I guess is what you would call it, where at both of those, the topic was, why should the state fund the Maricopa Community Colleges? And I'd like to think we made a good case, Lindsay, right? And I think those that had helped preparation for remarks in the background needed to get up there and do that. So Dr. Thor, members of the board, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Do any board members have any comments or questions for the chancellor? Okay. Seeing none, we're now at citizens interim. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board. In compliance with the open meeting law, the governing board will neither discuss nor take action on issues raised during this portion of the agenda. Ms. Macias, do we have any requests to speak? We do not. Thank you. We're now at the consideration of the consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval by the board by a single motion. There will be no specific discussion of the items located therein. Items listed under the consent agenda have gone through a review and recommendation process. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to ensure an extensive and thorough review. Any item may be removed from the agenda by the chancellor as a matter of administrative prerogative or by the governing board upon request by a governing board member. No motion, second, or approval is necessary. Items removed from the consent agenda may be voted on and approved during the consideration of the non-consent agenda. Items removed from the consent agenda may be sent to executive session for discussion by motion, second, and approval. The item will be removed from the agenda altogether. The matter will be set for e-session and the proper legal notices will be made. Do any board members or the chancellor wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved, Dr. Thor.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Bittersmith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? By a unanimous vote, the consent agenda is approved. We're now at non-consent action items. Fiscal year 2026 bridge plan regarding employee compensation. Is there a motion to adopt the 2026-2027 bridge plan re-employee compensation effective July 1st, 2026?
So moved, Dr. Thor.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are any comments or questions?
I do have one under discussion on the motion. At the very end of the presentation, it says moving forward, this is distinctively just a bridge plan, and there is more work to be invested in how this will expand and be accommodated. I notice it says the plan will be informed through the district shared governance structure, ensuring meaningful employee input and strategic alignment. Again, I'm going to take this back to the board. How do you plan to involve the board as you go forward so the board can contribute to that discussion moving forward?
Ms. Bone.
Thank you, Board Member Sullivan, President Thor, and members of the board. Thank you for that question. So our shared governance structure, we've changed it a little bit this year over our employee benefits and compensation. Historically, we've had an employee benefits advisory council and separately a compensation advisory council who made decisions independent of one another. And historically, actually, without discussing with the advisory budget council. That was a whole lot of acronyms thrown out there right there. But that lack of alignment has gotten us in a little bit of a pickle, specifically with regard to benefits funding. So when we were here in March or April, and I keep going back and forth in which that was, Charlene Pileggi, our Chief Human Resources Officer, gave a presentation that discussed the growing costs in healthcare benefits nationally, but specifically to Maricopa as well. So the bridge plan is going to allow us to look a little bit more cohesively at all of those different elements. We have added in a total compensation, a TCC, a total compensation council as well, that really marries up the interests and the needs of both pay and benefits to make sure we're putting together a comprehensive plan that is fair and appropriate, is meeting as many interests as possible, and is aligned with the budget. So what we plan to do is take that survey information that we shared earlier in the year, incorporate it into those plans, and then be back in the fall in front of the board to discuss recommendations for a new multi-year plan. That was probably more than you were looking for. I apologize.
No, actually, it wasn't more than I was looking for. I appreciate the realignment of the process and certainly the integration of the groups together so you get a less parceled out system. I think, again, compensation, particularly trying to project out a number of years, is very difficult. But to stay competitive and to retain quality folks, I think it's important that we're aggressive in looking at that. And secondly, keeping the board's interests as part of the discussion, not just kind of at a final, here's our recommendation, what would you tweak or what would you not tweak, or do you accept it? I think that's very important. And having been part of that first 5-year compensation discussion, I think it was successful because there were some of those pieces invested with the board in reaching that plan. So that was what I was looking for, not just kind of a general statement. So what I'm understanding then is you will do that work, but we will become part of the process beginning in the fall. Would
Yes,
that be correct?
yes, President Thor and Ms. Sullivan, what I would recommend is that we do some kind of a study session in the fall so we can bring forward all of the data that we've collected, the interests of the employees that we've gained through the employee survey that we did in January, and also talk about trends that we're seeing both in compensation and in benefits, and present the information, get feedback from the board at that time, and also look at it through the lens of the budget. As the benefits have increased beyond our
Certainly.
expectations, that is an area that we're still working to balance in the budget.
Now, I appreciate that's a very precarious projection to make in many ways, and compliment the work that's being done in that space to give us good information. So, Dr. Thor, we'll make note that a study session early fall. So I think would be important.
I was just confirming
I
the
see
early
nods.
parts.
I see nods.
Yes.
So early fall would be good. So thank you, Dr. Thor, for the opportunity. And thank you for the answer.
Thank you for the question.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? By a unanimous vote, the 2026-27 Bridge Plan Employee Compensation is adopted. We're now at first read and informational items. We have first read of Governing Board Policy 12.1.2, Weapons, Explosives, and Fireworks. There you are. I was going to say, and we have a presentation by Chief Barfus and Lauren Guthrie. Please proceed.
Good evening, President Thor, members of the board, Dr. Gonzalez, and members of the Shared Governance Executive Council and guests. My name is Lauren Guthrie. I'm the Director of Policy, and I'm here with Chief Blair to present proposed Board Policy 12.1.2, Weapons, Explosives, and Fireworks. This is an example of a policy that was created based on industry standards and conforming to Arizona statutes. We have prioritized it because it's deemed to be a safety issue for the district. This policy has been fully vetted by various stakeholders. It was created in alignment with our new policy framework and the shared governance structure, and it follows our policy adoption process outlined in Board Policy 4.1. With the adoption of this proposed policy, we will retire Administrative Regulation 2.6 weapons. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Blair.
This process was lengthy and extensive. One of the things I want to highlight is the new process in place was very effective. And I appreciate the work that Lauren, her team put together on behalf of this policy. One of the key issues that we addressed was a number of things in the former administrative regulation, including pieces of Arizona statute that was improper and did not properly fit, as well as matching best practices moving forward. This is the first policy of many as we begin our police department's agency accreditation efforts. And we look forward to answering any questions you have about this effort at this time.
Board members, any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Smith.
What is a personal safety device?
There's a number of those, but handheld pepper spray, one example, publicly or personally owned taser device. There's a number of handheld safety devices that are developed in the policy and outlined by definition.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now at employment and separations for the period of March 14th, 2026 to April 17th, 2026. Board members, any questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, we're now ready for the Arizona Auditor General Summary of the Maricopa County Community College District's FY 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, Report on Internal Control and Compliance, and Single Audit Report. Ms. Granillo?
Thank you so much, Dr. Thor. Members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Gonzalez, members of the SGEC, colleagues and guests. I'm Kim Granillo and I serve as the Vice Chancellor for Business Services. The Auditor General's Office and the Auditor General and her team are here tonight for their annual visit to share with you the audits they've performed for Maricopa for the year ended June 30th, 2025. The Office of the Auditor General has performed our audits for several decades. We always appreciate their work as we have the same common goal and good internal controls and proper stewardship of public resources. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Lindsay Perry, Auditor General, Ms. Catherine Edwards Decker, Financial Audit Director, and Ms. Vicki Fisher, Financial Audit Manager for the Maricopa Audit, to share the outcomes of our 2025 audit.
Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Thor, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez. Appreciate you having us here this evening. I am Lindsay Perry, the Auditor General for the state. And as Vice Chancellor Ms. Granillo stated, I've got two team members that will also be conducting some presentations today as well. They will be covering the 5-year financial trends and highlights. Catherine will cover that portion, and Vicki will discuss our audit results and findings. Next slide, please. So I know that many of you know who my office is, but just as a refresher, the Arizona Auditor General's Office is a legislative agency made up of nonpartisan staff. We provide impartial information and specific recommendations to improve the operations of state and local governments, which includes the district. We are well versed in and follow several standards, including governmental auditing standards. Next slide, please. So similar to our previous presentations, we're here this evening in accordance with state law, which directs you to require your auditors, my office, to present audit results and any findings to the board in a regular meeting without a consent agenda within 90 days of the audit's completion. So this is a great opportunity for us to be in front of you to answer questions and provide great information about the district's audits. Next slide, please. So each year, the district signs what we call is the engagement terms and conditions. And this document outlines both your and our responsibilities regarding the financial statement single or federal single audits. Highlighted for you on this slide our responsibilities, key responsibilities, including conducting your audits in accordance with the various auditing standards and federal requirements. So we obtain reasonable assurance whether the district's financial statements are free from material misstatement. While reasonable assurance is high, it is not an absolute level of assurance. With that being said, the risk of not identifying material misstatements and noncompliance is higher due to fraud than from error, because fraud may involve a collaborative effort to commit fraud, management not using or overriding internal controls, and other factors. We also communicate to you and your management team any significant matters for both the financial statement and federal compliance audits, including expressing our opinion regarding your financial statement and federal awards. Next slide, please. Conversely, on this slide are some of the key district responsibilities, including providing for audit accurate financial statements and financial information in accordance with accounting principles and federal requirements. Additionally, providing fraud representations, including formal communication from the district about your responsibilities for preventing fraud, that you have communicated with my team about all known or suspected fraud, and that you have not hidden or failed to provide any material information to my team. We sent the fiscal year 2025 fraud representation letter to the board on July 21st, 2025 for the audit results that we are discussing today. Additionally, the district is responsible for taking corrective action on audit findings, which, as you'll hear later, the district has done a great job of. And this includes providing a written corrective action plan that is included in your audit report that Vicki will discuss later in our presentation. Finally, the district is responsible for providing my team with unrestricted access to staff, documentation, information systems, and any resources necessary to complete our audit. This also includes meeting deadlines that were previously agreed upon at the start of the audit. I'm happy to share that all of that occurred. Next slide, please. Today, we will be discussing our audit work on 3 required annual reports. So the first is the district's annual comprehensive financial report. Second is a report on internal control and compliance. And third and finally, the federal single audit report. As we have done in the past, when your annual reports were completed, we emailed each of you links to those reports and highlights. And they were issued on December of 2025, February of 26, and March 25 of 26, respectively, meeting the March 31 deadline. The first report, the district's annual comprehensive financial report, presents the district's annual financial statements and our opinion on them. I am happy to share that for fiscal year 25, we reported an unmodified, or as auditors call it, a clean opinion, which means that the district's financial statements are reliable. The second report, the report on internal control and compliance, is where we report any findings and recommendations resulting from our audit of the district's financial statements. We reported 3 findings in the report that Vicki will also cover later in our presentation. Finally, the third report, the federal single audit report, includes our assessment of the district's compliance with federal program requirements over each federal program we are required to audit and report on internal control regarding those programs. This report really allows the federal government to understand if the district is spending federal monies in compliance with the requirements. So again, I'm happy to share that for fiscal year 25, we reported unmodified opinions on 5 major federal programs or clusters we tested. We did, however, report 1 single audit finding that, again, Vicki will cover later. So before we discuss those findings, I wanted to take an opportunity to thank Vice Chancellor Granillo and Chancellor Gonzalez. I know this is your last presentation of an audit report from my office for the district, and I appreciate sincerely all the collaboration from you and your teams on the district's audits over the past many years. So with that, I will turn it over to Catherine, who will provide an overview of the district's 5-year financial trends and highlights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Chancellor Gonzalez. My name is Catherine Edwards Ducker. Because we know that these reports can be rather lengthy and complex, our office also prepares a 3-page summary of report highlights that we sent to you with the single audit report. So I'd like to take the opportunity just to present some key financial information from the fiscal year 2025 reports included in the highlights. This graph highlights the 5-year trend of the district's revenues, expenses, and net position. The district's revenues, shown in light blue, have exceeded its expenses, shown in dark blue, since at least fiscal year 2021. Total district revenues increased by $42.7 million from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25, and total district expenses decreased by $12 million. The district's 4 main sources of revenue continue to be property taxes, government grants and contracts, tuition and fees, and state assistance. The district's 4 main revenue sources have remained fairly consistent over the last 5 years. And in the past fiscal year, property taxes increased by $12.8 million, while tuition and fees net of financial assistance decreased by $3.3 million. Primarily due, while there was an increase to enrollment, it was offset by increases to scholarship discounts and allowances. In addition, government grants and contracts increased by $9.1 million by result of increased funding for existing programs. Also want to point out that in fiscal year 2025, there was an 18.6 increase to other operating revenues. So overall, the district revenues increased by $42.7 million from fiscal year 24 to 25. The district's 4 primary expense purposes continue to consist of instruction, institutional support,
student service, and scholarship expenses. While the instruction, institutional support, and student services expenses have remained relatively consistent, but also decreased in the fiscal period by 11.5, 30.3, and 1.7 million respectively. Scholarship expenses have increased by 18.5 million since fiscal year 2024. So overall, total district expenses decreased by 12 million. Also, you can see from the chart, the bar line represents the district's net position, also referred to as its reserves, and it has increased every year since at least fiscal year 2021. Most importantly, the district's overall net position increased in fiscal year 2025, which at the end of the period was 792.5 million. And it's important to note that not all of the net position balance was spendable, because at the end of the fiscal period, 552 million was invested in capital assets, 215.9 million was restricted, which left an unrestricted balance of 24.6 million. Next slide, please. Finally, I would like to highlight the district's federal expenditures that are presented each year in the single audit report. As you can see from the table on the slide, most of its federal expenditures were from the U.S. Department of Education in fiscal year 2025, like the past 5 years. You can also see an increase in federal expenditures in fiscal year 2025 of 35.6 million, primarily due to an increase of 33.5 million in the Department of Education's program expenses. 28.4 million of this increase was attributable to the federal Pell Grant program. And in addition, the Department of Treasury program expenses increased by 5 million. This was largely made up of increased costs associated with projects related to the nursing expansion pilot program from the previous year. Next slide, please. Vicki will now discuss the district's 3 financial statement and 1 single audit findings and recommendations that we reported to the district in fiscal year 2025. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Chancellor Gonzalez. My name is Vicki Fisher. Before we discuss the findings reported in the fiscal 25 audits, we'd like to acknowledge the district's progress in correcting prior year audit findings. And our auditing standards require that we follow up on any prior year audit findings until they have been fully corrected. And in 2024, we reported 3 financial statement findings and 2 federal compliance findings. The 2 financial statement findings were related to information technology deficiencies, and the 3rd financial statement finding was related to timesheet approval. These 3 findings were partially corrected, and we reported similar findings in 2025 that I will discuss shortly. And then the 2 federal compliance findings we reported in 2024 were related to the Child Care and Development Block Grant, the program's reporting requirements, and the Adult Education Basic Grants to States and Higher Education Institutional Aids program cost. And these 2 findings were fully corrected. So now moving on to our 2025 audit findings. The report on internal control and compliance is where you'll find the financial statement findings along with the district's responses to them. Next slide, please. This first finding, we reported the district supervisors did not review and approve 2,433 employee timesheets either before processing payroll or within a reasonable time thereafter. This represented 2.87 million in total wages.
Also, the district did not retain documentation supporting $1,900 in payroll cost. And these internal control deficiencies increase the risk of fraud and potential misuse of public monies. Next slide. To correct this finding, we made 4 recommendations to the district: to enforce timesheet review procedures and train supervisors regarding the post-payment reviews, update district payroll policies and procedure requirements for the post-payment reviews and retaining records, and then also ensuring the colleges complete the post-payment reviews within 3 business days and promptly correct any errors that they noted. And this finding is similar to a 2024 finding that was initially reported in 2014. The district reported it anticipates correcting this finding and implementing recommendations by June of 26. Next slide, please. This second financial statement finding, we reported that the district's process for managing and documenting its information technology risk did not include an overall risk assessment process that included analyzing and responding to the identified district-wide IT risk, such as potential harm from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction of its IT systems and data. Also, its policies and procedures did not include identifying, classifying, and inventorying sensitive information that might need stronger access and security controls. These deficiencies may put the district's operations and IT systems and data at unintended and unnecessary risk of potential harm. Next slide, please. We made 4 recommendations to the district: to prioritize monitoring adherence to the district's annual risk assessment policies, develop and implement policies and procedures for data inventory process, perform an annual entity-wide IT risk assessment, and evaluate and manage risk of holding sensitive information. And this finding was also similar to a fiscal 24 finding. The district reported it anticipates correcting this finding and implementing recommendations by June of 2026. Next slide, please. Our third financial statement finding, we reported that deficiencies in the district's IT control procedures over IT systems and data increase the risk of inadequate system and data protection. Specifically, we found the district's procedures for restricting access did not consistently help prevent or detect unauthorized or inappropriate access to its IT systems and data. And IT security policies and procedures for securing its IT systems and data lack controls to prevent unauthorized or inappropriate access, use, manipulation, data, or loss. Next slide. To correct this finding, we made 8 recommendations to the district, including document comprehensive IT policies and procedures for restricting access and securing IT systems and data, monitor adherence to the IT policies on a periodic basis, restrict access to IT systems and data, and provide ongoing training on IT security risk. And this finding was similar to a 2024 finding that was initially reported in 2023. The district anticipates correcting this finding and implementing recommendations by June 2026. I'll now go over our federal compliance finding that we reported in our single audit package. Next slide, please. Thank you. In this federal finding, we reported that the district's Student Financial Services Office did not report timely
return of Title IV funds to the U.S. Department of Education, increasing the risk of reduced or terminated future awards. The district is required to return Title IV funds within 45 days of becoming aware of a student's withdrawal from the district. However, for 3 of 25 students tested, the district did not initiate returns until between 71 and 83 days after becoming aware of the student's withdrawal. Next slide, please. To correct this finding, we made 3 recommendations to the district: to monitor its Student Financial Services Office to ensure its compliance with the return of Title IV funds, address employee turnover of personnel responsible for performing the procedures related to the return of Title IV funds, and initiate returns of the Title IV funds to the U.S. Department of Education no later than 45 days after the district determined that a student withdrew. And the district reported it corrected this finding and implemented recommendations on December 31st of 2025. Next slide, please. I would like to thank Madam President, members of the board, Chancellor Gonzalez, for having us present today our audit findings. I'd also like to thank the district staff for their cooperation during the audits. We have a really good professional working relationship with management and the staff. This completes our presentation of the district's 2025 audits. Are there any questions?
Do board members have any comments or questions? We want to thank you very much for a very informative presentation. We'll see you next year. Next is our monitoring reports. It's the budget analysis report of the general fund for the 10 months ending April 30th, 2026. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, we're now at community linkage. Pamela Smith, do you have a report?
I do, Dr. Thor. I was the recipient of the Chancellor's Medallion for Civic Leadership.
Yes,
thank you. As well as being able to graduate from Phoenix College. Already on to the next degree. So I'll graduate again next year. But that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bittersmith.
Thank you, Dr. Thorne. Again, congratulations to Pamela. She's been a terrific student trustee. I think we all agree. Obviously, end of the year, it's very, very busy. But this month started with all of us at the retirement celebration. I use that in quotations. I'm not really sure that's true for Dr. Gonzalez, but I'm not sure we're celebrating that you're leaving, but celebrating that you're going on to new and exciting things. Then I was really honored to attend the Coronado Promise signing dinner. Coronado Promise is a promise program that's funded by Scottsdale Charities that are targeting students that are going to community colleges, primarily Scottsdale Community College and Mesa Community College. And both Dr. Daniel and Dr. Lashinsky are certainly aware of that program. A number of students, all very excited, becoming new enrollees in both colleges. As many of you know, there were a number of Chancellor Search Committee meetings. I will not list all of those. There were just many, which I think resulted in a great end result. Then on to the best part, in my opinion, of being a community college board member is graduations. And I was privileged to be at the Scottsdale Community College graduation and their bachelor's degree celebration. There's their first number of bachelor's degrees walked across the stage. And then from where I went to the Paradise Valley Community College graduation in their new location in Desert Diamond Arena. It was a little cooler, Dr. Lashinsky, than sitting outside. But the bachelor's degree is made up for it, so I was very excited. From there as well, I was able to also join Dr. Lashinsky and his team and some city council members in Scottsdale for the groundbreaking for SCC's Equestrian Science Training Facility, which is a partnership with the city of Scottsdale, which has gotten, quite frankly, a lot of media attention. I'm really pleased about that because it's the first complete program in the state of Arizona. So something that we can talk greatly about. And then finally, I joined a number of board members earlier today to another recognition, celebration, maybe sorrowful event honoring Kim Granillo's move on to fun and excitement and teaching, I understand. So again, congratulations to Kim. And that completes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Butler.
Thank you, President Thor. Along with the rest of the board, I was able to attend the Chancellor's farewell reception. You know, his parents, his kids, his wife were all there, and probably one of those rare events where they all get to hear accolades and from community leaders and leaders in our system. And it was a really wonderful, wonderful event. Also attended a lot of new chancellor selection process and excited to have formalized our agreement with our new chancellor, Dr. Stephen Bloomberg. Also attended the GCC commencement, which many of you may have heard about, a bit of a snafu with AI reading the students' names. And I just want to comment that, you know, being there and seeing the response of the leadership and how just disappointed everyone was for the students who were experiencing, you know, what happened. But then, you know, the ability to everyone to just jump up and transition and create a solution and to get to see those students walk across the stage, I know was not the way anyone planned it and not the way anyone wanted it to be, but I really appreciated how much everyone cared so deeply about making it okay for the students. And I think it did turn out as well as it could have. And it was just, it was, you know, like all commencements, wonderful to see and celebrate students. And then I too want to say to Kim Granillo, our Vice Chancellor of Business Services, retiring after I think over 25 years.
29.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to attend the retirement celebration today, but I want to say how much I have appreciated Kim Granillo's help in, especially in the Audit and Finance Committee meeting, just making sure that we have all the information. She is the most transparent, helpful. I mean, she just cares so deeply about making sure that every single, you know, every single number is in the exact right place. And I know she will be so missed. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
So on April 30th, I went to a very interesting industry roundtable at Rio Salado. And it was with the Tempe Chamber, and it was about housing affordability. And Rio is going to start teaching 3D printing of concrete walls for houses at their facility. So I'm anxious to go see that when it gets started. So it was a very interesting session. I too attended the reception for Dr. Gonzalez and had a great discussion with Dr. Gonzalez's mom. Her and I had a lot in common, actually. So that was fun. I went to the Emeritus reception for the Emeritus awardees from 2020, which was good as well. Dr. Thor spoke. She did an amazing job, like she always does. And I attended a lot of executive meetings for the chancellor selection process. One of the most memorable things I did was going to the Estrella Mountain Community College nurse pinning ceremony. And I've been to the ones at PV, but at Estrella Mountain, Dr. Rivera, I sat down and I said, you know, I went to the dental hygienist thing at Rio Salado, and Kate told me that the families pin the pins on the dental hygienists, and it was so emotional. And then Dr. Rivera goes, oh, well, that's what's happening today. So he had to send somebody to get Kleenexes for me because I knew that it was going to be bad. And it went from bad to worse because at the end of the ceremony, the director of the program had everybody stand up, say their name, and say, I am your nurse. I lost it. I was just a mess. I get home, I'm like crying, my eyes are all red. My husband's like, "Where have you been? What have you been doing?" So that was very impactful, and I would suggest to anyone that that ceremony was really poignant and very worth going to. I went to the reception for Julie, which was fun as well. Thank you, Julie, for putting me on that invite list. It was truly a great reception. And then I went to the Australian Mountain Commencement, which was always fun. And I think that concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan?
Thank you, Dr. Thor. At the end of April, I was able to attend the AGB board meeting in Washington, D.C. And it's interesting to be there at this time and also to participate in discussions more broadly in higher education with other leaders throughout the United States. So that was both interesting and worthwhile, I believe. I had the pleasure of attending the Chancellor's farewell reception, got to meet all the kids, and they all had a blend of being embarrassed and excited for you. But it was a wonderful opportunity to celebrate with them. I also participated in all the sessions of board members for the Chancellor search and selection. So appreciated that opportunity and want to compliment the committee on your hard work and your dedication to identifying and evaluating candidates for us to interview. So thank you for your work in that space. Then there's a big gap for me for a lot of reasons, but there's one thing I do want to say in that gap. I've been around a lot of nurses, CNAs, therapists, etc., quite extensively for the last few weeks. And the one thing I always will say, well, where did you get your instruction? And many of them have attended art community colleges. And I want to say they always stand out as the best ones. So the programs that you're all providing are developing excellent caretakers. And I personally want to thank you for that because it's so important to families. Then closing the gap, I did have an opportunity to attend the Gateway Early College High School graduation. Missed a lot of other ones, but was able to go to that. And there was so much excitement, enthusiasm, celebrating. They were dancing on the stage. They threw their hats up in the air before they were supposed to. They didn't want to turn their tassels. They wanted to throw their hats anyway. It was very interesting. I don't think they're much different than traditional community college graduates, but they did have an edge of youth and vitality as high school students that was really fun to be with. And then, of course, I attended Kim Granillo's farewell reception today. It's going to be a big loss to the district. Yes, we welcome you. Don't overlook that. But I think your embracing of the values that we all want to see exhibited in this district was very apparent to me from the very first day I met you. And the pleasure, it was very worthwhile to have the opportunity to work with you and to see your mark on the materials that are always presented to us. They always had that quality of integrity and excellence. And we will miss you, but wish you the best. Enjoy that road trip. Yeah, and I fortunately do know a little bit about debit, so I won't be attending your class, but if you do up the ante a little bit, I may have to attend one. So thank you again, and that's my report.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
I participated in several of the events that you've heard, the farewell for the chancellor, the welcome to Julie, the interviews for the next chancellor. With Dr. Narini, I attended a tour of the Gateway Early College High School. I really appreciated that there were several students that guided us around and shared their stories with us, and they were very inspiring. And I also attended and offered brief remarks and shook hands at the Chandler Gilbert Community College commencement and really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Dr. Narini.
Just ditto. Yes, I attended the college tour at or the tour of Gateway's early college program, and again, amazing job by the tour guides. Ditto everything everybody else has said about the chancellor's farewell and Kim's reception tonight, your last board meeting. Thank you for your presentation. It was great, the emeritus faculty reception, that we could finally get the COVID faculty get their emeritus status, and that was wonderful. I attended Gateway Community College's nursing pinning ceremony on May 12th. The welcome reception. So can we do this every 6 months that you're here to have the welcome reception for you? Yeah, that was great. I attended Gateway's graduation. It was a wonderful venue. I also attended South Mountain's graduation and PC's graduation. Let's see, what else did I have? I also attended Phoenix College's Prep Academy's graduation. As I said earlier, they had 24 student graduates receive their associate's degree. I wasn't able to go to Gateways, but I understand they have about the same number of associate degrees graduating from their high school this year too. And I want to welcome Kelly to the board, and we're looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, clearly this has been a very busy month for all of us. On April 29th, I attended the celebration of Maricopa's first cohort in the Kansas State University Community College Leadership Program, doctoral program. These Maricopa employees have now completed all of their coursework, and 3 have already successfully defended their dissertation, including Dr. Deanna. So congratulations. On May 4th, I joined the rest of my colleagues at the Chancellor's farewell reception and was honored to make some remarks on behalf of the board and to present a plaque to Dr. Gonzalez from the board. On May 5th, I attended the Spring Emeritus recognition reception. And as Dr. Narini indicated, the event honored faculty members who received emeritus distinction during COVID and never were, publicly recognized. So that event corrected that oversight. On May 14th, I attended Rio Salato's commencement, where some 450 graduates walked. As always, the highlight was the student speakers. And for, I believe, the first time, Rio had 2 student speakers, one of whom is a dual enrollment student who received his associate degree and high school diploma in the same week. And I have to tell you that this student told, I believe, only his mother that he was going to be one of the student speakers. And so as we were waiting to process in, he was getting texts from cousins and so on saying, "Where are you? We stand up so we could see you." And he texted them back and said, "You'll be able to see me." So, it was wonderful today. Wonderful. And earlier today, I also attended the retirement celebration for Kim Granillo, and was pleased to have been asked to make some remarks on behalf of the board. You've heard a lot of wonderful things today about your service, but your contributions have truly been countless to this district over 29 years. Excuse me, and you will be very sorely missed. But I also want to take an opportunity to introduce Dennis, is it pronounced Curran, the new Vice Chancellor of Business and Chief Financial Officer, who's been overlapping the last week or 2 with Kim. So we're very happy to have you here. And then finally, I want to once again thank the members of the Chancellor's Search Committee, the full board, and the many representatives of constituent groups that assisted in the process that led to the appointment of Dr. Stephen Bloomberg. Dr. Bloomberg's first day will be Monday, July 13th. Dr. Gonzalez has generously agreed to continue as chancellor until Dr. Bloomberg arrives. So thank you so much for that. And further, he has agreed to assist after his arrival with any transition and onboarding activities that we need help with. So again, thank you very much for sticking with us a couple more
You're
weeks.
welcome, Dr. Thor. Now that's a 5-year deadline on that transition assistance.
Okay, so noted. Establishment of our next meeting dates, times, and places. June 9th at 4:30 will be a special session to review the charter high school budgets, immediately followed by agenda review. This will be a virtual meeting. June 23rd at 6:30, we will have public hearings regarding the charter's high school budgets, immediately followed by our regular board meeting. As always, the board will be dark in July unless there's an emergency, and we'll return August 11th at 4:30 for virtual agenda review. The August board meeting will be August 25th at 6:30. And at that particular meeting, we will have an update on the Maricopa Corporate College. That concludes our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your time tonight. This isn't quite a record, but we're getting there. Let the record reflect that the board has adjourned at 9:05.